Hello, you beautiful bastards, and welcome to my so-called show. I've already mentioned the legal problems with Ian Fleming and Kevin McClory over the rights to Thunderball, but after McClory had finished with Broccoli and Saltzman, he thought to himself, hey, let's remake Thunderball, and let's get Sean Connery to return, and we'll compete against Octopussy. How can this possibly be a bad idea?
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard.
Well, slutty psycho ladies and Welsh wrestler heavies, let's find out. This is Never Say Never Again. Released in October 1983, Never Say Never Again begins with Bond apparently killing people only to reveal it's training, which kind of adds a bit of confusion. Did he actually kill these guys? Because they're doing a very convincing job of looking like they're being killed. And it turns out Bond is also a bit slow, so he needs to get back into some training, get back in shape. And while he's at the bloody spa, he comes across basically the same plot as Thunderball, minus everything that made Thunderball actually watchable. Okay, before I get into the bad stuff, and trust me, there's a lot, there is still enough to praise. Sean Connery showed that despite his advancing age, he still manages to bring some presence to the screen, and he still has some charm. He plays the role seriously with that deadpan sense of humour, and I love how he still manages to be a very likeable bastard. Unlike Roger Moore in A View to a Kill, it does play on the facts that Bond is a little older and not as fast and strong as he used to be. But he's still cool and he still gets the job done. I even give credit that he looks a lot better here than he did 10 years previously in Diamonds Are Forever. I mean, seriously, how the fuck did that happen? I even give credit to the fact that this version of Q is not as grumpy as the version we know and love. He actually seems glad to see Bond again. He's played by Alec McGowan, and McGowan portrays him more than every man who takes joy in his work, but hates the bureaucracy involved. While I prefer Desmond Llewellyn's stricter, more put-upon curmudgeon, McGowan and Connery do have some good chemistry.
I hope we're going to have some gratuitous sex and violence.
I certainly hope so too.
There's moments that also made me laugh out loud, like this scene where Bond is getting 10 bells of shit knocked out of him by the late Pat Roach. Rowan Atkinson makes a cameo as his bumbling contact Nigel Small for it, and once again, Connery's deadpan delivery doesn't fail.
Sorry I'm late. But as you're one of these undercover Johnnies, I took the precaution of not being followed. And that's why you shouted my name across the harbour.
Barbara Carrera also steals every scene she's in as the sexy but batshit insane Fatima Blush. She's completely over the top and a hammy, but she looks like she's having a hell of a time playing this wood-inducing psychopath. There's a scene where she has Bond at gunpoint and asks him if she was the best he'd ever had. And I love Connery's reply. It just cracks me up.
You know that making love to Fatima was the greatest pleasure of your life?
Well, to be perfectly honest, there was this girl in Philadelphia.
Shut up!
Bernie Casey is also likeable enough as Felix, but sadly this does suffer in comparison to Thunderball. Yeah, I had my problems with Thunderball, but in comparison it's still a superior film. Kim Basinger does her best as Domino, but there's no chemistry with her and Connery, and she lacks the innocence Claudine Alger originally conveyed as the character. And yes, I know I mentioned both in Thunderball not having much chemistry either, but they still had a good back and forth.
So, what sharp little eyes you've got.
Wait till you get to my teeth.
And the scene where Bond tells Domino about her brother's death in Thunderball is still more impactful. It allowed the scene to play in a way that was subtle enough to allow you to feel sympathy for her. But here she finds out during some ballroom tango, and it's so quick, and you're never given enough time to empathise with her. Christ, even Domino killing Largo had more impact in Thunderball. But here, it just happens, and that's it.
Message for you, sir. Change the channel, Marge.
It also lacks the style and class of the official Bond movies and feels really soulless. The music score is lame. There's no romanticism to complement the beautiful locations, no edge to add to the brutality of the character. Even the title theme is pretty bland. Klaus Maria makes no impact whatsoever as Largo. He comes across too nerdy and, well, bland. I mean, he's a good actor, but even Thunderball Largo still came across as a genuine threat.
You saw Bond?
Yes, I saw him.
What happened? You let him get the better of you.
No, it wasn't a beast. It was also a girl. No, no.
It wastes James Fox, who plays M as an absolute tantrum-throwing prick with a face like a slapped ass.
A man did try to kill me, sir.
No! Caught you seducing his wife, did he?
No, sir, not at all. But in fact, I lost 4 pounds and God knows how many free radicals.
That is the kind of attitude that tempts me to suspend you, 007.
What a wanker.
Yeah, I know Bernard Lee's M could be a moody sod, but there was still a mutual respect between him and Bond. And Lee's M sounded like someone who knew what he was doing. Fox's version looks like he doesn't have a clue. It also wastes Max von Sydow as Blofeld. Remember when he was introduced in From Russia with Love and you never saw his face, giving him that air of mystery? Well, on here, in Never Say Never Again, he's introduced plain-faced.
Fuck.
Not only that, we have a scene where Bond and Largo match wits in a video game. James Bond playing a fucking video game.
What am I watching? I don't know, but I hate it.
It's so all over the place. In fact, this movie had undergone tons of rewrites and reshoots, and it shows. It doesn't know if it's trying to be realistic, comedic, or fantastic. It's a fascinating disaster that wastes some good actors and feels like something made as a way to spite Broccoli and Saltzman. So overall, despite Connery still being charming and Barbara Carrera sexing things up in a don't stick your dick in crazy kind of way, Never Say Never Again is a fine example of basically saying never and ever needing to say never again, if that makes sense. And that was Never Say Never Again. Next up, A View to a Kill.
That's better.